Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Huda and Tanya, for opening their home. This house should be a house, continue to be a house filled with dvekus and ishtorikut, and that everyone that walks in here feels at home. It's a very big bracha. Not too much at home; they go home afterwards. But some people stay. some people stay, but. Sorry about this. pretend I have a remote control, and it's on volume, and I'm going like this to each of you, up by 10 to 15. So, hopefully everyone had a really strong day today, powerful day. It's a very powerful day today, Asar B'Tevet. And it's the day that we've been spending a lot of time from last night and today, maybe Bichlal in life, but especially in this house also, of channeling into this gift, Pashut, I don't know a better word to say it, this gift of all gifts, called Reb Nosson Sternheitz, Reb Nosson of Reb Nosson of Breslov, a gift that keeps on giving, like his name, Natan, right? Back and forth, Nun, Taf, Nun, it's just the back and forth, it just keeps on giving. Lo mafsik, it doesn't stop. And so much of the gifts that he gave us was trying to understand what Rabbi Nachman really was doing in this world and bringing down to the world. He was the best transmitter of what he received as Kli Rishon to us. But sometimes Rabbi Nachman had these one-liners, not sometimes, all the time. He had these one-liners. How in one line he could put just everything into perspective. Everything into perspective. And one of those one-liners is something that today it's become even a two-worder, actually a three-worder, I guess. Today we look at Yiddishkeit and we have this, we see there's so much checklist Yiddishkeit going on. Checklist Yiddishkeit. I did it. Checklist. I may even go to Gan Eden. Could be. But can you imagine, I mean, even if it's true, sitting in Gan Eden next to a bunch of checklisters, how bored you'd be. You'd be so bored, right? So it's not just checklist Yiddishkeit. It's howling beast Yiddishkeit. And that's what the Rebbe said when he said, it's true, you're all checklist. You're all kosher Yidden, looking at his students. It's all good. You're doing the right thing. You probably will go to Gan Eden. But that's not why I am me. That's not why I'm doing my thing. And it can't be that that's why Hashem blessed me with what he blessed me with, and why I worked so hard from such a young age to develop such a deep connection to my neshama, was in order to make sure you're all just law-abiding, good Jewish citizens. He says, I wanted you to be like chayot hanoamot bayar. I wanted you to be like Yidden that know that even, not only when I'm doing bad, I need to scream to you to get me out of it, but even when I'm doing everything right, that's the whole chiddush here. Even when I'm doing everything right, dafka, then I actually feel the need to scream even louder. Even louder. So, many years ago, a very holy Yid named Yisrael Dagan, a Breslover Chassid, came out of a hisbodedus with this nigun to the words we just said, and it's one of my favorite nigunim in the world. נכון אתם אנשים כשרים, אך לא לזאת הייתה כוונתי. נכון אתם אנשים כשרים, אך לא לזאת הייתה כוונתי. רציתי שתהיו כחיות הנועמות ביער, לילות שלמים. כחיות הנועמות ביער, לילות שלמים. I learned this nigun because once for a wedding that I was playing at, they sent me this song. They wanted me to play this song in the middle of the dancing, and I was so taken by this song. I was so taken by this nigun. But then I saw a bunch of the Chatan's friends and the Kala's friends. They went into the dance circles, and whenever I got to this part in the song, this is what it sounded like. Okay, when I got to the part, suddenly you hear, and everyone was not, it wasn't like anyone was doing anything weird. So I remember my first time in Oman. It was about 23 years ago, the first time I went. And I also never heard such a thing that at night, when I went to sleep, I thought there was Khalila, like some kind of a stabbing or something outside the building of where I was staying. Because I heard all these people screaming their heads off like at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. But really, what were they doing? They were chayot hanoamot bayar, leilot shlemim. They were howling beasts. נכון אתם אנשים כשרים, אך לא לזאת הייתה כוונתי. נכון אתם אנשים כשרים, אך לא לזאת הייתה כוונתי. רציתי שתהיו כחיות הנועמות ביער, לילות שלמים. רציתי שתהיו כחיות הנועמות ביער, לילות שלמים. רציתי שתהיו כחיות הנועמות ביער, לילות שלמים. It was Reb Nosson that said that it's going to be funny. One day there's going to be a thing in Yiddishkeit. People are going to talk amongst each other and say, you know, there was a time where people considered themselves to be Orthodox, frum, and hisbodedus was optional. And he's going to laugh at how people could actually think that they can be engaged in a proper relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam without being a chaya nohemet bayar. He says one day, like people, just like today, we look back at certain things, we're like, oh my God, how could it be? They felt that that same thing is going to be with these Bodhidus. We're going to look back one day and be like, how did anyone really think that they could figure out how to travel this narrow bridge in this world and not get freaked out without listening to what's going on inside? So let's go shlav by shlav. Something very simple. In all the Torahs on his Bodhidus that Rabbi Nachman shares with us, he uses a very important, I think this is the important two words in the Torah of his Bodhidut. And the Rebbe says, yeah, you have to talk, benoliv and kono, you have to speak to your Creator, it should be in your language, set times, this and that, set place, not necessarily, but it's adif to do it out in the fields, blades of grass. But then he says, yefaresh sichato. This is the deepest two words. And I want you to pay, if you ever look inside the Sefer again, you'll see it now, it's going to pop out. Yefaresh sichato. That means the outcome, or what actually happens to a person when they engage in becoming a chaya nohemet, right? When they let loose and they realize the siddur is only a prep for davening. Shachris, Mincha, Mariv are only like preps for actually to really daven. You'll notice that his Bodhidus is you giving a perush to your chatterbox. It's you understanding what you really want in this world. You get an opportunity to figure out what it's worth dreaming for and which dreams are worth pursuing. You get a perush to your sicha. Understand? The faresh sichato. Like a perush. Rashi is a perush. Parshan is a commentator. Sicha is a conversation. Give faresh sichasam. Reb Nosson is constantly showing us through his Rebbe's teachings that what we really, really want to figure out while we're here is not what to do. It's to figure out what we want, what our ratzon even is. And the only way a person can really, really be in tune with what they want from this world, what they want to do in this world, who they want to become, is when they allow themselves to hear, to take a listen to the inner sicha that's always happening day and night. Can you imagine if you actually wrote down all your thoughts that you had in an app? You thought I was going to say in a day. No. From the moment that I walked in here late till right now, right? If you could give a perush to all, if you could write down all the thoughts you had in the last 15 minutes, what are you supposed to do with all that? Where does that go? You think all these thoughts, they go in and they go out? Not pitom. Quite often they come in and then they clutter. They clutter. They take up space. They take up space. I know it's okay with you. I know it's the Reb Nosson say, I want to say it's from Alter Rebbe. Kidding, inside joke. The Alter Rebbe says like this, he says there are two types of machshavas, two types of thoughts a person can have. One type of thoughts consumes space, and one type of thought creates more space. It's like gives you more air. The more you think it, the more room you have to breathe in your mind, in your thought, in your consciousness. Certain types of thoughts, they just take up all the space. You have to keep on buying external hard drives, one after the other. En makom, en maspik makom. And what his Bodhidus is, whether you want to admit it or not, is basically to your thoughts just going, הכל בסדר. אפילו מה שלא בסדר. גם בסדר. That enables a person to walk on the narrow bridge that Rabbi Nachman spoke about. Va'ikar, you have it up here in the house? You have that Va'ikar lo yitpachit, where is it? Yeah, Va'ikar lo yitpachit klal. But the most important thing is, since the world is but a narrow bridge, don't freak yourself out. The world's narrow enough. It's crazy enough. You don't have to add any more mishigas. But Reb Nosson gave a name to this bridge, which I wanted to talk about tonight. It has a name. A narrow bridge. This narrow bridge upon which we walk has a name. Reb Nosson says the name of this bridge is called Emet. That's the name of the narrow bridge. And when a person is privileged to be attached to Emet, it doesn't matter how narrow the bridge is, because as long as that's what you're walking on, you are safe in this world. You're safe. And it has to be Emet. It has to be what Emet is. Now, I've said so many times, I'm sure you've heard from many people, if anyone ever comes up to you and says, I found the truth, run as far away as you can from them, right? So what's going on over here? Like, are you supposed to know and maybe even declare, like, okay, I found the truth, I found Emet, I found the truth? Well, in Yisborodus, obviously, there's this movement towards that place of, I'm getting closer and closer to tasting what Emet really is. But if my Emet means that your Emet is weak, then my Emet is such it's such a not cute joke, put it like that. If my torch of truth has to put out your torch of truth in order for my torch of truth to be true, it means your Emet is very schwach. I had a really funny taste of this one time in the airport in Kiev, in Ukraine. We were coming off of one of our trips. I think it was the first one that you were on. And we were in the airport waiting to go home after like one of these 3-4 long, grueling days. Day and just davening, sichas chaverim, like it's just a beautiful camp for a few days. And I got to the airport, and some guy, some yid going back to Eretz Yisrael, he looked at me, he said, Ma, bata mi Rabbeinu? I said, yeah. He said, we just came for Rabbeinu. Even though we had just been at Hadich also, by the Alter Rebbe. So he said to me, Shma, אני הייתי 15 שנה בלובביץ', הייתי בקראון הייטס, וזה לא מתקרב לשנייה אחת של תיקון כללי אצל הרבי. Thinking that was going to make, I'll just explain. He said, I lived for 15 years in Crown Heights. I was by Lubavitcher Rebbe, and now 1 minute of Tikkun Klali is like all those moments by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So I was in such a good mood, and like the Kanoi Kohen in me didn't want to come up and appear. I wanted to just be like, oh, that's so sweet. I'm so happy for you. But I couldn't ignore it, and I said to him, do you think Rabbi Nachman needs you to say that? Meaning, in order for your truth to be your truth, you have to say that. But anything else can't be. Can't be. What I'm sharing with you is an inner dialogue that I have with Reb Nosson all the time. All the time. Because no one has ever come across, since the time of Moshe Rabbeinu and Yoshua, it doesn't seem that you don't see any type of a relationship like that, like the sun and the moon, like Rabbi Nachman and Reb Nosson. You have a lot of very close relationships with Rebbe Talmud, but by Rabbi Nachman and Reb Nosson, there's something here. We said last night, Chaim Kramer explained this in his brilliant way. Rabbi Nachman, the sun, if you gaze directly at the sun, you can't, you'll be burned. So you need the reflective light of the moon, of the makabel, of the mashka, right? In order to give you access to the light. And that's Reb Nosson, the gift that keeps on giving, that's what we feel from Reb Nosson. And you don't find this type of lashon even by anybody. Look at any of the other sfarim of tzaddikim that spoke about their Rebbe, the way Reb Nosson spoke about their Rebbe, there's nothing. Nothing. It's a different lexicon. It's a different hemisphere of relationships. Lo yuman. But I dafka want to always have this conversation with Reb Nosson, because you all know that Reb Nosson did not start off as a Breslover. Reb Nosson started off as a Berditchever. Reb Nosson was a chassid of the Kedushas Levi. In fact, there's a piece of Kedushas Levi that was written by Reb Nosson. He's the one that wrote it down. And the famous story is, one Motzei Shabbos, he was sent out to go and buy bagels for the Malav Malka in Berditchev. And can you imagine being a chassid of Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev, and your shlichus is to go get bagels for Reb Levi Yitzchak's tish? Not that Reb Levi Yitzchak ever got to that to the bread, I doubt it. I can't imagine. I don't see him indulging in bagels and cream cheese and lox. Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev, not so much. But to be in it, to do anything for the presence of that tzaddik, Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev. And the story goes that Reb Nosson was on his way to buy the bagels, and he stops. He's like, I don't think this is my inyan. I don't think this is what I'm here for. Now, I always wonder if he meant, I don't think my inyan is to be a chassid of Reb Levi Yitzchak, or did he mean, as a chassid of anybody, I don't think my thing is to go and buy bagels. Do you hear the difference between the two? Because it's a huge difference. And that's the conversation for years and years, in my mind, I wish I could have walked with him. And we've been to Berditchev, you could visualize these places, they look the same 200, 300 years later. You can just imagine walking with the Heiliger of Nosson, Motzei Shabbos, going to get some bagels for Reb Levi Yitzchak, and him stopping and having this moment of like, I just don't feel this is I don't know what my derech is, but I know this is not it. And what it probably took from him to follow his nekuda of emet. But my point is, I can't imagine for a second that Reb Nosson's point of emes became bigger to him by downing Berditchev. There's no way. En sikui. There's no way. It can't be. It can't be. So let's go back. That means that this nekuda of emes, of truth, of real deep truth, is something that has to do just beini levein atzmi. Aviatar Bana has such, not one brilliant song, but his songs are basically, one massive Hispoididu session. And in one of his songs called Ava Rachaman, he talks over there about basically doing shalom bayis. But he's talking there, Higi azman lasot shalom, beini levein atzmi. Making shalom between me and myself is the path to this nekuda of emes. And it's so not attractive because no one knows about it. No one knows about it. It's just your own thing. And Reb Nosson had to go through this grind, his own thing, to figure out what this nekuda of emes is. Now, obviously, he found it, but he didn't stop davening to be connected to the nekuda of emes, even though he found it. The most horrible thing in the world is when spouses stop davening for each other once they met each other. That's the worst thing in the world. You see a guy or a girl before they met their zivug, I'm davening for this so hard, my God. I do anything if I could just find them. Tefillas, I have to find them. I found them. Yalla, akol tov. Ma pitom. Anyone that knows anything about the pnimius of things understands that it only starts once you found them. The avoda only starts once you found them. And the davening for each other only starts once you found them. And here we come to what we want to really, hopefully, touch upon tonight in a very profound way. We're here in Hashem should protect all our Shomrei Yisrael, B'ezrat Hashem. We're here sitting in Eretz HaKodesh. And in our Chaver and Efrat, we're trying to there's so many different possible mission statements for our Chaver and Efrat, our Shul, our Kehillah. And one of them that comes up quite often is we keep on making Aliyah. It's basically a bunch of people that made Aliyah, and you got to keep on making Aliyah, because we understand that the real avoda of Eretz Yisrael has very little to do with just moving here. It starts once you're here. And anyone that's done that before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just like with the marriage, you find the emet, then the passion to be connected to emet has to be davened over. Has to be davened over. So too with zivugim, and so too with the nekuda of Eretz Yisrael. So even though yes, Reb Nosson had left Berditchev, and then without getting too much into the story, but he finds Rabbi Nachman. It was a whole dream, and they meet each other. Reb Nosson wasn't. He wasn't like, I found the truth. He basically said, there's a da'at in me. There's something in me that knows this is right. This is fire. But Ribono Shel Olam, I'm begging you. please make this fire erupt within me. So many of us, we come to Eretz Yisrael, we're here, but we don't say and then, okay, Hashem, now that I'm here, may Eretz Yisrael now begin to simply blossom within just within who I am. And that's the tefillah that Reb Nosson basically said the first Shabbos that he had with Rabbi Nachman. The first Friday night he spent with the Rebbe, he was in Breslov. And after the Tish, or whatever exactly was taking place, the story is that Reb Nosson walked around the city of Breslov, and he kept on saying the following words, which the same guy that composed that nigun about Chayot on Amot said, so the same guy, he wrote this nigun as well. Bebreslev bo'er aver ota belibi 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 aver ota belibi aver ota belibi. Imagine someone coming to Reb Nosson and saying to him that Friday night, don't worry, you found it already. You don't have to daven. You already found it. What are you talking about? Just because I found it, now it's time to daven over it. Bebreslev bo'er esh, aver ota belibi. 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 Aver ota belibi. Aver ota belibi. In Breslov burns a fire. Please burn it in my heart. In Breslov there's a fire. Please, please burn it in my heart. In Breslov there's a fire. Please burn it in my heart. In Breslov there's a fire. Please, please burn it in my heart. Oh, burn it in my heart. Oh, please burn it in my heart. So in Eretz Yisrael there's a fire. Some people get burned by the fire, but we have to learn how to make it warm, how to enable it to warm us up instead of getting burned by it. And that is really by connecting ourselves to the Nekuda of Emes and reminding ourselves why we're here in the first place. Thinking about what Hashem had in mind when He told Avram Avinu the two famous words, Asher Ar'eka, this is the place that I show you who you are. Asher Ar'eka, I show you who you are. And that happens exactly like we said with Hisbodedus. Hisbodedus is Eretz Yisrael. It's Asher Ar'eka, I show you who you are. You hear your own sicha, you understand your own conversation What a gift to hear and understand your own conversation. That's the Bechina of Eretz Yisrael. And this is the trap. We come to Eretz Yisrael, we did it, it's okay. In Chutz La'aretz, I had to be very makbid on a bunch more checklist stuff. Here, I made it, it's Achol Chofshi. Good luck next generation with that kind of chinuch. Doesn't work. We gotta keep on making aliyah, we gotta keep on asher al ekar. It's only starts when we come home. And I think the Rebbe was really mechaven us to this place with every one of his teachings. As Reb Shlomo would say, it's so much deeper. Whatever you think it is, it's so much deeper. You're so much deeper than you. You get it? You're so much deeper than who you think you are. Okay, I want to know how do I figure that out? Take one eitzah of the Rebbe, take any eitzah of the Rebbe and cry over it. Any eitzah, in any one of the Sfarim. And cry over it, and you won't have to ask that question for that much longer. You'll know where to go. This is what Reb Nosson left for us. This pathway, this access to the emes. Such an inviting place. Ashrei misha margish muzman, alavai shekulam yargishu muzmanim. Praiseworthy is the person that feels invited to this chamber of counsel. Not everyone gets to feel that invited, but when you do, there's no looking back. And again, it's your emet. It's nothing to do with what anyone else is doing. That's the eish. That's the eish that Reb Nosson was talking about. I know there's something here, and I just want to be more connected to it. So please burn this fire in my heart. So let's stay with Eretz Yisrael forever, but definitely even right now, I mean, with what we're learning. Let's stay l'chaim to Eretz HaKodesh. There's a tefillah from Reb Nosson, and this tefillah, I feel that this tefillah says it all. But in order to understand the tefillah, it's going to help us stay on the narrow bridge called Emet, just to learn one thing outside from Rabbi Nachman, Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Nachman has three different, seeming to be conflicting perushim on the concept that the Meraglim said about Eretz Yisrael, where they called it, it's a land that devours its inhabitants. Eretz ochelet yoshvea. Right? It's a land that consumes you and that eats you up, and before everyone starts to get very cynical and sarcastic, leave it. Let's see what the Rebbe says about this. Because it's true. At a certain point when you ignore your nekuda of searching for emet, you just feel completely consumed and swallowed up by everything that's not important. And now think about this in our own lives, how fast we could be on fire, and then how fast do we get consumed? Not just that we have a negia, we have a little bit of a brushing with not even the other side, but things that are simply chol. It's nothingness. It's empty. And the more you're in tune with the narrow bridge, which Reb Nosson labeled as emet, the more that even the little things, not even stuff that are tamei legamre, like the Tanya was saying a few days ago in the Daily Tanya, about sholosh klipas tmeos legamre, but even klipas noga, even the stuff that's in between, right? You can't stomach it. But yet, how easy do we find ourselves? And everyone today brings examples from basically going like this, next video, next picture on our gadgets, right, on our phone, but in our minds, next, and just get swallowed up by it. Before you know it, you're completely not where you thought you were. When they say as yeshivish, you're not holding. You know what I mean right there, right? You're not holding. I don't know what the modern holding is. They say you're not holding in like 2023 and not yeshivish language. Anyone have a suggestion? No? Huh? What's it? Lo alze. You're not on it. You're not on it. And that's what happens to us quite often, that before we even realize, we're under the assumption things are good. A marriage, we're under the assumption things are okay. I haven't davened over it in so long. I haven't discussed the emet of what I want the home to be like in so long. But because I made aliyah, I got married, I found Rebbe Nachman, but I don't say Breslov Boresh Averot Abelibi, before I know it, I'm completely just a label called Israeli, Breslover, married. Check, check, check. Mamash. Holy checks. Gan Eden checks. Like we said in the beginning. Gan Eden checks. You're going to go to Gan Eden. I think it was the Bilvavi or the Slonimer says, he says, you can go. He says, what's going to be is that if you go through this world without developing a relationship with the mitzvahs that you're anyway doing, you're going to go, they're going to grant you Gan Eden, you're going to sit in a place that has a bench, there's going to be a label there, it says on it, Gan Eden. So you're like, okay, I guess this is where they sent me to. You come and you sit down, someone comes and sits on the bench next to you, and you're both kind of like, you're looking at your nails, I don't know what you're, and after a few minutes you're looking at each other and like, what do you think happened? And the other guy says, or the other girl says, I don't know, but they told me to come here. They told me also to come here. How come I don't feel anything? I don't know. So then you have Avram Avinu coming walking by with a smile, right? And they say, oh my God, hey, look at Zayda, Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, you're here. Okay, it must be in a good place. Avram Avinu, how come I don't feel anything? He said, what did you think it was? You think that you weren't meant to develop a relationship of feeling with the mitzvahs and the Torah that you were learning while you were down here? So the Shlomo Rebbe says, in accordance to the emotional connection you have to the mitzvahs that you do when you're down here, to that extent will be whatever this inyan of Gan Eden really is. The Bilvavi Mishkan Evne says literally, it's Zeh Keneged Zeh. That's when people say we have Gan Eden in this world. It means to feel something with a mitzvah, with a teaching, with a Shabbos, with a marriage, with Eretz Yisrael. That's the mirror. That's what it's going to be up there. Reb Nosson there was no other Rebbe besides Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Reb Nachman Vegas Chossi Hagan Aleinu, that spoke about Eretz Yisrael the way Rabbi Nachman did. No other. From all the Sfarim. And it doesn't mean, and again, I'm not downing any other Sefer. I just want to emphasize that by Rabbi Nachman and by Reb Nosson, who were both Zolche to be here, Eretz Yisrael wasn't just another important checklist thing that I don't think they said, Misha Berach Eretz Yisrael and the Breslover Shtibel, but it's not like they were there. There was, one of the most chazak Breslover Chassidim ever. His yarzeit, I think, was the 6th night of Hanukkah. His name was Rabbi Avram Bereb Nachman's. He was the son of Reb Nachman Tolchiner. Nachman Tolchiner was one of the top students of Reb Nosson. And this Rabbi Avram Bereb Nachman's, he moved here. He lived in Eretz Yisrael. He lived in Yerushalayim, but he still made the pilgrimage back to Uman. You're talking towards the beginning of the 20th century. And who did he spend time with every time he got to the dock in Yafo? Before he would pilgrimage to Uman for a few months, he would spend time with Rav Kook, Rabbi Avram Bereb Nachman. So he left us some of the most important works on how to understand Likutei Moharan. Be'er HaLikutim. That's Rabbi Avram Tolchiner. Rabbi Avram, they call him Rabbi Avram Bereb Nachman, the son of Rabbi Nachman Tolchiner. And Rabbi Avram, this Eretz Yisrael Yid, he passed away in Uman. He was gonna, because he went for Shabbos Chanukah, he was gonna come back after Chanukah to Eretz Yisrael, and he died there. But he was going back and forth. Back then, he was going back and forth. People kvetch today to have to go through Romania or Moldova to get to Uman. This is what he must have gone through. So according to his shita, it's a very deep thing. And he was mamish when he was in Eretz Yisrael. He was so longing to be by the Tzion, but every second he was by the Tzion, he was longing to be back in Eretz Yisrael. By him it was mamish one, you know. So Rabbi Avram Reb Nachman has an Indian like this, and he says like this is a klal. Whoever learns Breslov Chassidus and gets stuck on the concept called the tzaddik, which is by many a stumbling block in their learning and connection to the teachings of Likutei Moharan and all the Breslov Sfarim. For many people, most conversations that I am blessed to have with people that are struggling, it's not anything else other than what is this obsession with the tzaddik emes. You know why? Because it seems to them that if you're saying about one person there at tzaddik emes, what does that say about everybody else, right? What we were saying before about our truth, our torch needing to put out your torch. So Rabbi Avram Reb Nachman's had this shita, and it's an amazing, amazing shita. He says that whenever the Rebbe says tzaddik, whenever Reb Nosson uses the word tzaddik, he's always referring to Mashiach, to whoever's going to be Mashiach. And Mashiach's everyone's tzaddik emes. Mashiach is not a shita. Mashiach is not a, how do you say shita? It's not a, how do you say shita? Method, yeah, like a derech, one derech. Mashiach is the whole thing. So he said, but that's what it's referring to. It's referring to the tzaddik is Mashiach, Bechinas, it's Mashiach. So this Rabbi Avram Reb Nachman's, he brought down this like Eretz Yisrael dik of Breslov or Chassidus, which you see, you know, Chabad got the whole world, but Eretz Yisrael is Rabbeinu. It's not stam. There's an Indian here of the Rebbe's Torah and the way Reb Nosson davened over Eretz Yisrael for us to take hold of and to make sure that it pulls us to the nekuda of our own emet. Without apologizing, without being apologetic about what our nekuda of emet is. And for all of us, for Klal Yisrael right now, it seems that Hashem is giving us opportunity after opportunity to be shluchei de'ara Eretz Yisrael, to be better emissary. Eretz Yisrael has the worst PR. You know what? Two things have the worst PR in the world: Eretz Yisrael and Hashem. Lahavdil. God has the worst PR, and Eretz Yisrael has the worst PR. Isn't it? It's a crazy thing. Most people that speak in the name of Hashem should find a different job, right? Find a different gig. And definitely, people that speak on behalf of Eretz Yisrael, especially in any type of, I don't know what you call it, proper national, obviously political arena, what Eretz Yisrael's PR, Reb Nosson was Eretz Yisrael's PR. And Kmo Reb Nosson, there's no one like Reb Nosson when it came to how to be a spokesman for Eretz HaKodesh. There's no one, there's nothing like it. So, you know what, Baruch Hashem, so many people are here, I made some copies of this tefillah. I'm going to pass them around, and we're going to daven it together, because this is really, if you could pass these around. I'll give you one for Venus. This is a tefillah over Eretz Yisrael. Tans, give me one for Bina. Likutei Tfilas, Chelek Aleph, Tefillah Ayin Gimel. Now to go back to what we started with, this is based on the teaching about Eretz Ochelet Yoshvea, the land that consumes its inhabitants. I only gave you one parish before, but the other parish that Rabbi Nachman has is that wouldn't you do anything to be fully consumed by Emet? Like, wouldn't you do anything in the world to be completely swallowed up in the best way in the world by Emet, by Eretz Yisrael, the light of Eretz Yisrael, the mochin of Eretz Yisrael? So Rabbi Nachman says that's what happens to certain people when they come to the tzaddik. So they're not really fully there, and they stop davening once they get to the tzaddik, and they never get consumed by the tzaddik. And then there's some people, they come to the tzaddik, they come to the light, they come to marriage, they come to Eretz Yisrael, and they know that that's when they start davening, and they become part of what they were davening over. Like the Rebbe says in the Likutei Moharan, Ki teva hamazon Teva hanizon le'efach lemazon. That the nature of what you consume becomes you. Literally, you are what you eat. You know that, like, a bunch of what we eat stays within us, right? So in Eretz Yisrael, like this people are so freaked out by, I can't be fully consumed by the light or by that other person or by Eretz or by anything. Why? Because what about me? Will the real me still be around? I'll be losing myself, and I got to be individual. I have to have my own thing. I got to be me. I can't give up on that. Who's talking there? And why are you so sure that you, the way you are right now, is something you want to hold on to? What frightens you? To be consumed by the light? By the truth? By the Kedusha? The real Talmidim, we only have Reb Nachman because there was someone like Reb Nosson who became consumed by the light of the tzaddik. We would not know there was someone like Rebbe Nachman if there wasn't someone that was willing to shed himself of any self-identity aside from Ratzon to be close to what matters in this world. That's the only reason why Uman exists, why we know about Rebbe Nachman. This is not my opinion. The Rebbe said this himself. It's not I'm not giving you a Beirut right now. The Rebbe himself is telling you and I, he said this in his time. No one would ever know anything about me if it wasn't for my Nosson. So, when it comes to when the Torahs of davening over Eretz Yisrael, keep the Torah we just learned in mind, and look at this. We'll daven it together, okay? Reb Nosson says like this: "Yirotzei milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu v'le'aviseinu, El Emunah, the God of faith, Shetezakeinu b'rachamecha harabim u'v'chasadecha ha'atzumim, your infinite kindness and your infinite compassion. What should you merit us for? Le'emuna shelema be'emes u'belev shalem, complete faith, the full heart. She'eske le'amin becha, may I merit to believe in you, Hashem, u'betzadikecha ha'amitim, and in your true tzadikim, be'emuna shlema be'emes, emunas tzadikim. This is what Reb Nosson was darshaning right before he died. This is what he was talking about. Ve'eske li'kanes u'lizdabek u'li'kalel b'soch shleimus ha'emunah k'daisha. May I merit to enter and to cling and to become included in that which is full, complete, and holy emunah. Ve'ehye chazak ve'amitz ba'emunah ha'kedosha, and I should be strong and amitz, I should be courageous in emunah kedosha. And this is an important inyan. In order to do this, what he said right now, you have to have ometz. You have to be courageous. Courageous doesn't mean to be a hero to show everyone you could win wars. To be amitz means I'm brave enough to trust that when I have a moment when I want to remove all the this is me from me, because I know that it's just not going anywhere. I gotta go weiter. I gotta move on. You need a lot of courage to just let it go and be like, sorry, we're not moving on together. Ad asher eske le'isapech migashmius gufi, until I merit to completely flip over, change over from the gashmius, from the physicality of my body, lemahus ha'emunah ha'kedosha, to the essence of holy faith. Ve'amunah ha'kedosha tochal oti ad she'yeh ne'echal ve'nizbat el kol hara ha'nechaz bi. Holy faith will eat me up, will consume me, until I'm completely mevutal, I'm nullified from all the ra that was holding on and basically preventing me from becoming me. ואזכה להסהפך מרע לטוב על ידי שלמות האמונה שתזכני להתקלל ולהתבטל וסורך האמונה הקדושה בביטול גמור. So that could happen anywhere in the world? What do you think? Could that happen anywhere in the world? This avoda, what he described right now? I don't know, because here he takes it up a notch. ותזכני מהרה לבוא לארץ ישראל בשלום בלי פגם. May I have the merit of coming to Eretz Yisrael peacefully without too much harm. And we'll talk about the type of harm he was referring to in just a second. And here in Eretz HaKodesh u'liskarev u'lizdabek b'tzadikim amitim b'dveikus gadol u'be'emunah shlema be'emet. And once I'm here, to come closer and closer to the true righteous ones with such an amazing, incredible amount of dveikus and full, complete faith. But please, God, have compassion on me. And you and I know so many families, they worked so hard. They did everything they could to try to get here because they knew it was the most important thing they had to do and the greatest decision they could have ever done in their life. And then you see that once they're here, such chaos, such mishagas. Have mercy on me. B'tachmon alai, b'chemlohascha gedola, v'al ta'aseh imi kechata'ai, v'al tedaineni kemifalai. Please, don't hold my past against me. And you could hear the unspoken echo is, I won't hold your past against you if you're willing to part ways. ותזכני ברחמך, ותפתח לי שערי המנוע הקדושה. Open up the gates of righteous faith. תעזרני לכנוס לתוך האמונה באמס. Help me enter into this faith for truth. ולהיכלל בסך בכללי גדול. And to be nechlal, to be completely included, to be absorbed with such a tremendous sense of being part of this. עד שאזכה להיות נחל להאמונה ולהסהפך למהות הקדוש. Like we said before, till I merit to become eaten and consumed by the emunah and to completely להיות ish nehepach to its holy essence. למהות קדושת Eretz Yisrael הקדושה, to the essence of what Eretz Yisrael is all about. ולמהות קדושת הצדיקים האמיתיים, into what the truly righteous men and women are all about. And then Reb Nosson screams out, "Velo taki oti haaretz," and the land should not vomit me out, the land should not spit me out. We're not just talking about moving back, leaving. It means living here and feeling so foreign, feeling so far, feeling like everything's a fight, feeling like everything's a struggle. The land should spit me out by emunah kedosha kasher ka'at agoy Hashem milfanai, just like it spat out so many nations before me. V'af al pi sheini chedai v'ra'ui liga ba'emunah kedosha. Although I'm not saying I'm worthy to touch upon such holiness, who am I to say such a thing? To even be part of Eretz Yisrael, who am I to say? ולהזכרב לצדיקים האמיתיים, כי הערו הריאוס יש מעשי מאוד. I haven't been such a shena meidele, such a shena boyel. I haven't been such a good boy or girl. I've been a little bit naughty. And I know what happens to most people in 2023 when you say the word naughty. You go to a really dark place. Let's stick with Reb Nosson's state of what he considers to be naughty. Look what he says here. V'kipachti et kedushasi. I've neglected my holiness. Lekapeach. I've neglected. I've been out of touch. I've been not sensitive to what really, really makes me me. And that's the chelek Eloka mimah. Nonetheless, af al pi chen berachmecha rabim, rachamecha rabim me'od, your infinite, countless compassion that you have on us. Zakeini berachamecha ve'ozreini ve'hoshieni, shetuchal ha'emunah hakdosha lisbol oti betocha. May this body that's called holy faith that I hope to become absorbed by, may it tolerate me, may it be sovel oti in it, ulachzik oti tamid, to always hold me, ad asher ehyeh nechal, v'nitzapech lemaz kedushas ha'emunah be'emet, malei rachamim, Zakeini laemuna shleima b'chol habchina. I need all levels of complete faith to be what my life becomes about. Ki en lanu shum tikva usmicha achshav, ki im al emuna hakedosha, kmo shekasu v'tzadik be'emunaso yichyeh. You and I know that the extent of me feeling alive is the extent of how much I feel that emunah, like Nissim told us last night, is the muscle that I'm constantly training. To the extent that I go to the gym, does my body feel healthy? To the extent that I actually take this muscle called emunah and I work it, that's the extent of my life force. Nothing else in life makes me feel alive than how much I work and invest in this concept called emunah, and how much I daven over emunah. Reb Zalman used to say that people think that faith is a noun, and there's nothing more off than that, because faith is a verb. We're faithing. You get it? Faith is not I either have it or I don't have it. I'm either working on it or I'm not working on it. I'm either davening over it or I'm not davening over it. Let's face it, most of us that grew up from think we have God because we were grew up from. No one told us you have to work on faith. You have it. You're born religious. And then we get zapped at a certain age when we get in touch with our souls and we're like, how could this person, this fresh Baal Tshuva, this fresh convert, that spending like maybe a few months in Yiddishkeit, how could it be that their belief in God is infinitely more tangible than my 30, 50 years of religious observance, checklist, that's all you gotta say, that's why. Because you didn't daven over having emunah. You just thought I either have it or I don't. It's not. It's a muscle. It's a muscle. And it's so worth, like Cliff always says, it's so hard to go to the gym, but it's so worthwhile. So just substitute the word hard with worthwhile when it comes to investing in the gym of the neshama, and it leads you there. Second line on the bottom paragraph, Ki ata yodea otzem ha'izgabrus ha'galus ha'nefesh, only you, Hashem, know how hard it really, truly is to get to the place we're talking about. Through all the thickness and the layers of all the things that take me away from believing that it's worth investing in the emunah. Al yidei ta'avat haguf hamitgabrim b'chol et. Uba'avonoteinu harabim tash kochenu u'mata yadeinu me'od. We're weaker and weaker and weaker. As much as we think we're stronger, we're actually physically weaker. You know, this week in Bnei Brak, I think it was a big yeshiva, where this past Shabbos, the Sefer Torah fell out of the Aron Kodesh. It fell on the floor. Now, back in the day, when our grandparents, right, were around, if a Sefer Torah fell on the floor, was there a shaila if you fast or not? Mapitam. Of course you fasted. And the psak came out today, is like, look, we're too weak. If you make the kids fast in yeshiva, they're not going to be able to learn. So they just said, okay, everyone, for that day on Thursday, it's a day of tshuva, no fasting, you can only eat bread and drink water for the whole day. Tash kochenu. The Alter Rebbe speaks about this in Tanya, about all the fasts one should technically be doing for certain transgressions. We're not made of that anymore. But that's also okay. Hashem knew that. And Hashem knew there'd be a tzaddik yisod olam that comes to the world to give us something that is exactly for our door. The path to give a perush to the chatterbox. The sicha. To be connected to Torahs like this, to tefillahs like this. And that's why Reb Nosson ends off by saying, you have to please merit this with your compassion. On my own, I won't get there. ובעוונותינו הרבים תש כוחנו מטה ידינו מאוד לעמוד כנגדם ולשבלם ולבטלם לגמרי. Could I really say that I could put an end to all the things that take me away from going to the gym? Come on. They're always there. Those sounds are always there. You're not going to have enough koach later for your kids. You need to save your energy. You could be doing, all the excuses in the world. Just ki im bekoach ha'emuna kedosha שתזכנו להיכנס ולהיכלל בתוך האמונה בכלליות גדול עד שנזכה להיות נאכל לאמונה until we become those that are consumed by this world called emunah, which is also the same concept of being consumed, absorbed, eaten up in the best way by the Holy Land, by Eretz Yisrael. ונזכה לקיים מקרא שכתוב. We'll merit what the pasuk says. בטח בהשם ועשה טוב. I trust you. I trust you. You want me to listen to me? I trust you. I'm going to run to you. שכון ארץ וראה אמונה. Dwell in the land. וראה, with an ayin, means to shepherd faith. Da-da-da-eh, da-di-da-do. Da-da-da-eh, da-di-da-do. Only you, you alone, you again. Only you, only you, only you, only you. Only you, you alone, you again. Only you, only you, only you, only you. Who's the person that actually is ready to do this? What do you do? How do you know if you're a person that's ready to become like completely absorbed and consumed by something bigger than you? We had an example of a person like that just died 10 days ago. There was a bright, bright light that passed away on the 8th day of Hanukkah. And that's Rav Drukman. Rav Drukman Zecher Tzadik Livracha. He had a biography written on him. But it was basically, the title of the biography was really his life. And it's a word he said over and over and over again. He said the word Hineni all the time. Hineni means, here I am. Here I am. I'm here. For whatever you need me for, I'm here. So I'm going to be consumed by whatever you need me for, and that's how I'm going to live my life. Reb Nosson sees the Rebbe's light. He knows he's the master of the quill. And he says, Hineni. And he doesn't stop writing. He's getting shechted and beaten up by Not just misnagdim, by many other Hasidim. But he's in a state of hineni. He's consumed. He's consumed by the emunah. The emunah is driving him. To say hineni, to say, I'm fully here. I'm in it completely. I'm fully in it. There's no more games. I'm fully in this. I'm fully in this world of emunah, which means I daven over it, which means it becomes the sound. We were talking about soundtracks last week in Ashir. It becomes the soundtrack of the home that I'm building. It's a good exercise. Give a word to the soundtrack of the home that you were raised in. It's a little bit dangerous for some people, but because it may be a very dark title. Or give a soundtrack to the home you want to build right now. What's the title track? What's the name of the title track? It becomes the soundtrack of your life. It becomes the rhythm. It becomes the step in your everything. It becomes who you are. Reb Nosson says, Hineni, I'm here. Reb Drukman said, Hineni. You know who else said Hineni? Avram, Yaakov, and Yosef. They also said Hineni. I'm here. I'm in. I'm sure Yitzchak said Hineni. I just don't think it's included in the Torah Shevichtav. Hineni, Rashi says, is Lashon Anava V'Zvizut, which means you're humble and you're quick. You're humble and you're quick. What does that mean? You know how often we have Hineni moment, we're like Hine, and we don't finish off the ni. We just like, I'm here, right? Not I'm here, it's like, I'm here. Like certain statements we say, it's like with a question mark, even though you're trying to say an actual statement, right? I'm here, or I'm here. So when Avram Avinu showed up, it was I'm here. When Yaakov Avinu showed up, I'm here. Yosef HaTzadik, I'm here. This is it, Gamarnu, we're on this path. A person that can say, I'm here, they're humble because they've been consumed by something much bigger than them. It's not about them. It really isn't about them. It's become about something much bigger than them. Reb Nosson, who could have been the greatest Hasidic Rebbe in his own court. All the tzaddikim said that about Reb Nosson. He could have been the greatest. He could have had the largest court in the world. But he's completely consumed by Rabbi Nachman. You know, today in Chabad, do you know who this reminds me of? Huh? Rav Ginsburg. Yeah. Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg. A Gaon like him is once every generation, maybe. Gaon Shebagaonim. There is such bittul and being consumed by the light of the seven Nisim in Lubavitch, by the Bast Rebbe, that it's not even an inyan bichlal. But to become consumed by it is, I know it sounds threatening. It's like, what's going to be with my self-identity? Till you realize that, like, wow, what an identity you're about to get. You're about to become a shliach of Eretz Yisrael. You're about to become a shliach of light. Rav Drukman looked at his life and he said, if my life was given to me by a gift, saved 3 times in the Holocaust, and then once he was saved by a terrorist attack here where the guy sitting next to him, his driver, was killed and he was injured, he said anyone that their life is given to them as a gift, they got to do something with their life. And then he stopped and he said, well, when you think of it, every person's life was given to them in the gift. Not only those that were saved. Everyone's life was given the gift. Everyone's got to get to a place of hineni. I'm here. Reb Nosson had his moment of hineni, and he was zariz and anav. Anava vezrizut. As my precious brother-in-law's brother taught my daughter, a whole shita.
This is already spilled the beans yesterday.
Yehuda's brother has I think he's kidding. I don't know. I can never know with him. Yehuda's younger brother, Shmaya, has a shita that really there was no such person as Rabbi Nachman. It was all Reb Nosson, but he was so anav to the core that he had to create this other figure to hide behind all the light, and he's just like, it's, So my daughter actually believed that. She always now, when we, like, a little bit less now, but when she first heard this shita, whenever someone would say to be Nachman in the house, she'd always go like this. Nachman, right? I wouldn't pass, I wouldn't put it past them, but this is the life we're living. That could happen. But what I want to say is that with Eretz Yisrael, we're here. Reb Nosson is saying to us, if you're not going to daven to be absorbed by what Eretz Yisrael is really all about, the land will spit you out. Now, what is Eretz Yisrael all about? It's the first two words we said about Eretz Yisrael that Hashem told Avram Avinu. And now we're just going to end off by taking it full circle. The two words that Eretz Yisrael is all about is Asher Ar'eka. The land which I will show you who you are, is what God told Avram Avinu. That's what we're busy doing by coming home here. Now it's true, for many years, and even now to a certain extent, we haven't had the privilege, the luxury, or the peace in order to just sit back, ish tachat gafno, ve'ish tachat te'enato, each person in their own backyard, underneath their, in their vineyards, and just lay back and be like, Eretz Yisrael, let me do an 8-hour isboidus and akol beseder. Why? Maybe not us, but all my Israeli neighbors, their fathers, brothers, grandfathers, all were on the front lines, making sure that they were literally staying alive so that you and I could sit here and do our Yiddishkeit thing. But if we're not going to daven to become consumed and absorbed with the concept of Asher Ar'eka, the land will spit us out, which means you'll feel like a foreigner here. Or you won't even be here. This is why Reb Nosson takes these two things in this tefillah back to back and says, I want to be consumed by the light and bring me to Eretz Yisrael. Because that's what Eretz Yisrael is essentially all about. This is what the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael is all about. And that's why it's so, frankly, it's very humbling whenever my wife and I come here, to this home, to other friends of ours that we have here in Tko'a, that are living that life. That they understand my achiza, my grabbing on to the land is dependent on how much I'm in an Asher Ar'eka relationship with God and with the mitzvahs and the Torah that I keep. That it's clear to them that that's what this is all about. So I want to give us all a bracha. And please give me a bracha back. A, that we get to learn much more together this year. That's a selfish bracha. Bet, is that we have enough ometz to become ne'echal ulehitapech lemahut ha'emunah kedosha. That we have enough courageousness in the heart. That we become brave people. And that level of being brave leads us to even if it doesn't feel so safe, even if it feels threatening, but it's a da'at that I'm working with inside that knows that I must move towards that direction of Asher Ar'eka, because that's why I came here in the first place. That's why we're here in the first place. So I want to give everyone a bracha of Rav Kook said called Ometz Alev, to have this bravery in the heart. And B'siyat D'Shmaya, in the schus of someone that literally became ne'echal by the tzaddik, that became completely absorbed and consumed and eaten up in a holy way by his light. That light should continue to penetrate the deepest depths of our being, and should continue to guide us towards walking on the narrow bridge, which Reb Nosson already told us is called Emet. And we should always know, and deep down in our hearts, that if a moment of our Emet means I have to tell someone else that their Emet is not so strong, boy, do I have to go home and do homework again. But to have enough guts and be like, okay, Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'kam. Maybe my connection to the Emet wasn't, maybe I didn't let go enough of what I needed to let go to become absorbed by the Emet. Because when you're consumed by the Emet, no one threatens you. No one's truth, no one's light, no one's opinions, no one's threatens you. Can you imagine walking the face of this earth without feeling threatened by anyone's opinion? Can you imagine that? That's what it means to walk with the light of the tzaddik that's consumed you. And Alavai Eretz Yisrael, the leadership of Eretz Yisrael, should walk in the path of loving the world, but not being at all absorbed with what anyone thinks about us. Bless you. Not to go down that path at all, to look assured. But we got to be consumed. Only, can you imagine if, like, in the next like Yeshivat Memshala, like when the government, bless you, the government has its weekly meetings. Whenever they meet, every month they meet, like Bibi says, okay, listen, we have so much work to do in order to protect Eretz Yisrael. In order to be connected to Eretz Yisrael, this is why the Am chose, it seems to be this is why the Am chose us now. So obviously we all have to do at least, we're going to start off with 20-minute Hisbodedus in our offices, and then come back to the table and start talking about why we're here in the first place. Listen, that's not as wild as telling us 76 years ago, you know, you're going to have a whole country here and win all these wars. That's much more wild than Hashem being able to do absolutely anything. So sing one more nigga. Reb Nosson's nigun, this is the nigun that he wrote. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu, manoim goydolenu. 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 Da 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 da. Ba ba dum ba da dum bum bum. Ba ba dum ba da dum bum bum. Ba ba dum bum bum bum. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu, manoim goydolenu. 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 Right, you have to leave with at least one new nigun, because the thing about getting excited about Asher Har'eka is that you realize you don't know yourself yet. There's still more to come. So Hanukkah was a very strong yantiv of nigunim this year. It was very special. A lot of nigunim were coming down by different nights. I don't remember all of them, but one I'm trying to remember right now because it had to do with basically looking at everything we just said right now, looking at everything we already have in a new light, not finding new things, looking at everything that we already have in a new light with a or chadash. Oh, here it goes. I got it. Thank you, Hashem. Okay, listen to this one. This is very, very close to my heart right now. Beckman's. Thank you so much. Tko'a, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Sharing the light.
Oh, man. Last night.